Okay, this is going to get me into trouble in certain circles, and it might get me a job in others. I looked at the Trump tax cuts being proposed, or at least as they're scored by the Center for Tax Policy. They're not bad. The real ones that are damaging were the ones that were passed permanently, and I'm not sure how they got passed permanently, which was the business tax cuts. That includes the pass-through taxes, although I think those have to be extended. Or the rates do. But whatever the pass-through rate needs to be the same as the rate for corporate income tax. And that structure was changed permanently already. So, yeah, tax reform is needed. And I doubt we have the consensus to do it now. So the reality is that, given circumstances, let the thing pass. Like bipartisan, let it be permanent for God's sakes. Because it was the stuff that the permanent tax rate for high income people, 37% is a good rate. Okay, it was 35. Then we put it back up to 39, and then it's 30. They could have gone to 34, 33. They went to between the last Democratic one and the last Republican one, or the last Republican and the last Democratic one. 37 is right in the center, which means it was probably bipartisan in the first place. So leave it at 77. Those rates are fine. The nasty rates are the capital gains rate, which didn't change, by the way. It's been 20 forever. It didn't they didn't cut it from 20. That's why there was a stock market decline after the bill was signed, because they were expecting that 20% cut rate would be taken down. It wasn't. Same rate. It's been the same rate forever, 20, which is too low. It should be 24. But the Obamacare taxes are in. Now they need to redo Obamacare taxes. I think they should probably put those into a value-added tax, or subtraction VAT, and take it out of just penalizing the high-income people. So, but they should then raise the business tax rate, income tax rate, pass through, capital gains, dividends. I think that's everything. Net interest, all of that should be 26. That would be a compromise. That I could live with. That everybody could live with, I think. Of course, that would not be good for electioneering, but I don't think people join parties and do their votes by tax policy. They pick their parties by it, but that's different than saying something and have them change parties. You're not going to make, but people have already picked. Now, maybe people will change based on other things if there's bipartisan agreement. There should also be bipartisan agreement on abortion, too. It's time to do that and have some limit under where abortion is illegal, and even before 15 weeks. But after that, there should be no upper limit on fetal hospice, except maybe 28 weeks. And technically, there is none, because if you don't want if your child is born and won't survive for long, you can always not do extraordinary measures. That's the law now. That's like the ethics. That's the Catholic ethics now. And nobody has a right to not be born. So inducing labor at any point in the pregnancy that it can be induced should be considered okay, and go up until, with fetal hospice up to, my God, it's actually 26 weeks where if you're born, even if you need, you anything before 26, you probably will be a vegetable for the rest of you'll probably have deficits for the rest of your life. If somebody's born before 26 weeks, they should probably be. They can be. You can give them but you're imposing a cost on your children, on those children that are not treated with hospice. But that may be their karma. So, but yeah, between 13 weeks and 26 weeks, yeah, fatal hospice. Before that, or before 12 or whatever, 10. Whenever a fetus can be physically delivered, that should be the rate at which, then fetal hospice is the thing, and no other abortion bans, but no limit. And the church has to get in on this too. I mean, hospitals should have to then allow this procedure, regardless of their religious affiliation, and they should, because it's better than an abortion. It's better than being hacked up. You put those two things in, but yeah, this is a very milquetoast. The not bad things in the TCGA are the ones that are coming up for redoing, and they should just be permanent. The transition, things like SALT and changing ATV, the ATMs, the alternate AMTs, alternate minimum tax. Those two things go together. If you do SALT, you have to do alternate minimum tax, and also the interest reforms. Those should be, they're one thing. If you cut one, you got to cut the other. Keep one, you got to keep the other. And having them be gone is fine. There's really no difference between a child tax credit and a child deduction as far as income goes, except that it's more it's equally generous, although not to the poorest, so they can adjust that to make add refundability to the mix, full refundability to the mix, and maybe raise the child tax credit. It's a good bipartisan measure in my account. As somebody who's been a parent, I mean, my daughter got $750 from Social Security. Everybody should get $750 every month, and it should be through payroll, not coming from the government if possible. So, although it should come from the government if you're on disability. I'm on disability, so my daughter would have still gotten $750, but maybe it would have come out of a different fund. Be funded by a VAT. Well, I think Social Security should be funded by a VAT too, so, or a tariff. The employer contribution to Social Security should be tariff funded, because that's the same thing as a VAT as far as international stuff. That's the thing. The tariff part's not so bad either, because tariffs need to be at least as high as the amount of VAT that country gives. Zero rates at the border. In other words, if England's got a 20, Germany has a 13% VAT. And 13% is actually what I would think that the U.S. should have as a VAT. But until the U.S. has a 13% VAT, then it should have a 13% VAT against German goods, or on German goods, because they forgive those taxes for export. So they've got to be re-put on. If we don't have a VAT, then we should have a tariff to match the VAT that was taken away. It's just common sense, and Trump doesn't know how to say it right, but that's really what he's saying. And the European average is 21%, 21.1%. So yeah, for those places with higher VATs that are then forgiven, they should then have that VAT rate restored at that country's level of VAT. And then then the U.S. government then gets that money from us. Which, with a VAT, it would be the same thing. If we don't have a VAT, we should have the tariff. And yeah, that's industrial policy, but any even though I favor a flat VAT or a regional VAT, you're never going to see that. There'll always be exempt items, et cetera, et cetera. So, the purist says, yeah, just do it as at regional rates, to decrease local governments, regional government spending, but they're not going to do that. It'd be nice if they did. You'd have a real way to try to get rid of spending. If people know that, if you cut spending, you lowered your VAT rate, yeah, that would probably fly in a lot of regions, but maybe not the poor ones. If Dixie had that deal, they would say no, because they like their government. New York might say yes, because they don't need big, as high a rate as they're paying now. Not paying off not sending their money to Alabama and Mississippi and Arkansas would be good for the people of New York. Just saying. So yeah, we're not that far from, the Secretary of Commerce said, maybe people under $150,000 shouldn't pay income taxes. That's true, they shouldn't. And a lot of people say that, including me, and a lot of people say that. The people who had been Republicans who no longer are, who could be again if Trump quits going after poor people and migrants, and fire Stephen Miller, and that immigration czar. Although they had the desired effect of stopping people coming to the border, and that's all image. So, but yeah, but the rush was because they thought Trump was coming back. Now Trump is in, so yeah. What he's done with those people is unconscionable, but it's being undone. A lot of the stuff he was proposing is unconscionable, and they're putting it in the budget, and the Congress will just ignore it. So, yeah, apparently things aren't as bad as we thought they were, and the question is, do we want to lower the temperature? We could. I think Trump wants to. I think he wants validation, and that means being making himself and his people, show their love and all that. But the really bad fascist stuff is, it's not happening. The course won't let it happen. It's the Heritage Foundation just embarrassed itself really badly by doing all this stuff and probably writing the stuff that went into it. Yeah, they have ceased to become a serious organization because everything they put in and Doge put in got torched or will be torched. So yeah, this whole fetish for putting people back in the office was just like, a bright shiny object for CEOs to give their money to the Republicans. Silly, but yeah, I could write a tax compromise if anybody would hire me, and I'm giving it to people for free. But if somehow somebody puts this on Fox News or uses it to put me on and then let me talk about the same thing, I'll say the same thing because it's true. And or share this with a member of the administration that and I can get a whole bunch of miraculous things passed if you just change the tone a little bit. So a lot of this stuff should be bipartisan. Fundraising says don't make it that way. The worst stuff has been, except for the migration stuff, has been overturned, and the Russia stuff, but that's called picking the wrong horse. Because I've got 45 seconds. Zelensky's going to win. Russia is now calling for negotiations and will sue for peace soon, but they need to be shown the need for a little humility. So yeah, we got Trump backed the wrong horse, but that's okay. Yeah, it's not gonna, unless he actually bombs Ukraine. Ukraine's winning the war. So, yeah.